I have just watched The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it is a lot of mixed feelings for me. This film is a prequel to the famous Hunger Games movies,
Hunger Games, yeah, 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 Hunger Games.
which were adapted from the books written by Susan Collins. It follows the roots of President Snow, his descent into becoming a huge asshole, and the start of the Hunger Games as we know it. I kind of like the Hunger Games, I guess. The films were weird and dropped off after the high of the second movie. But anyways, I was intrigued by this premise, so I went and checked it out for myself. First, a couple of things that I liked. The standout of the film was the setting. The film is set in Panem 65 years before the first Hunger Games, 10 years after a war. It is depicted as rough and brutal, yet kind of beautiful in a way. There is no modern and futuristic tech, but everything is analog. This gave off a certain vibe that felt very pleasant to me. It is clear to see that the capital is something grand and nice, even though it does not have its signature shine yet. This also carries over into the games. It is clear to see that the capital wants the Hunger Games to be something grand, but still needs to learn how to do it. In this film we see how the Hunger Games became what it was in the first movie. At that point in time, it is not the entertainment that it will be 65 years later. These games boil down to 2 hours of random people with weapons, killing people who are freaking out, in a tiny coliseum with nowhere to go. Because the people of Panem are not engaged at all with these tributes, and the quite brutal premise has no real appeal, no one watches these games. However, these more primitive and primal games were way more interesting and engaging than something more grand could ever do for a movie viewing experience. It reflects the tension and suspense that can be generated in a confined space, where survival is the ultimate goal. Now, let's move on towards the acting. Tom Blythe steals the show. He plays President Snow and by far has the most emotional depth and excitement in his performance. He shows us the human inside of the shell of the man that President Snow will be in the original film series. Another great acting performance was the one of Viola Davis, who plays this mad scientist who creates the games to make sure that they work smoothly. Every time she is on screen, it oozes with chaos and joy, and something fun is bound to happen with the atmosphere. Also, Peter Dinklage is in here, which is always just great. He's just a great actor. Come on, you know this. Rachel Zegler, however, was not the best. I know everything has been said about her abysmal press run with the Snow White project.
Weird. Standing there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
But she is fine as Lucy Gray. Her character is underdeveloped as she does the absolute maximum that she can with the material that she has. Her singing was wonderful though. Now moving on to the things I did not like. The film's major flaw is its rushed narrative. The film is split up into 3 parts, which all combine into an overarching story. The first and second part depicts the 10th annual Hunger Games, and the third represents Snow's adventures as a peacekeeper. The major issue is the last part, which is just plain old boring. Important moments are not given sufficient time to breathe, and the development of the shift in moral compass is completely lacking in this quite crucial part of the movie. I feel like this structure would have worked better if it were split into 2 parts, like the Mockingjay. So, in the end, this was not the best of films, but it also was not insultingly bad. Luckily, I got something out of it. If it was just a documentary of how the Hunger Games came to be, I would have been more pleased, I think. The Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes unfortunately just leaves you hungry with no more food left on your plate.